To you, and thanks for coming out on
appreciate you having me
late at night to do this. But let's answer Cassandra's question first of all. Sheriffs serving or deputy sheriff serving, right, legal papers. Let's talk about that.
That's a great question. A lot of people don't know sometimes what the duties of sheriff are, but Chapter 30 in Florida statute outlines what the duties of sheriff are, and the sheriff is an officer of the court and is required to serve all legal process for the circuit court, the county court, as well as the Board of County Commissioners. So we have a whole division at the sheriff's office, our civil division, that stays very busy serving legal processes, subpoenas, all kind of court documents, replevins, unfortunately evictions and things of that nature. Those are all the duties of the sheriff as outlined in Florida statute. And it's a very important duty, something we take seriously. It can get very complex. You know, when you get lawyers involved in something, Larry, things get a little complex. So.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. So folks, we've got Sheriff Tommy Ford here. The phone lines are open. You can ask him any question about law enforcement, things here in the state of Florida, law enforcement in general. We're even going to get into a little bit of politics as well, I think, through the night. Phone lines are open, 850-392-1544, or you can email us at lawcall@wmbb.com. Now, Sheriff, we know who you are, but tell us who you are. Tell us, introduce yourself to everybody. Give us a little background about you, how you started out in law enforcement, a little bit about your family.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I grew up in Port St. Joe, Florida, which means that everything that we did, going to the dentist, coming to buy clothes, go to the doctor, we came over here to Panama City. So I feel like I grew up in Bay County, but went to Gulf Coast State College and then to the University of West Florida and majored in accounting over there, kind of with the thought of going into federal law enforcement. They were taking people that were had accounting degrees at the time, and got involved with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. I really kind of fell in love with that agency, traveled the state with them, conducting investigations for about 18 years. Did the last about 6 years here in Panama City as the supervisor of the Panama City field office. Worked with all the agencies in the 14th Circuit on criminal investigations, and developed a relationship with the Bay County Sheriff's Office, and really fell in love with the agency and became good friends with Sheriff McKeithen. In 2009, he brought me to the Sheriff's Office as his chief deputy, and then I thought I would retire with him and we'd ride off into the sunset together, but in 2016 he decided to retire, and that's when I was elected sheriff, and I've been sheriff for 7 years now, and it's just been the greatest honor of my life to be able to serve the citizens of Bay County, to work to keep them safe, but the people I work with is what really makes it special. The service that they give the citizens every day, the sacrifices they make on behalf of the citizens of Bay County is something that's special to watch from my seat.
Well, I tell you what, we're lucky to have you as our sheriff. We appreciate what you do, the men and women that you lead. How many people do you have in your sheriff's department?
So we have about 550 employees at the sheriff's office. About 225 are the law enforcement deputies. About 125 are detention deputies. We manage the Bay County Jail, which houses close to 1,000 inmates. So we have about 200 employees out at the jail.
Wow.
As well. So.
I tell you, you got a lot of duties and responsibilities.
So 7 years ago, you could have seen a lot more hair on my head. So.
Probably a little bit less gray in the beard as well. Tell us a little bit about you personally, though. I mean, you're married?
I'm married to my wife, Kathy, my sweetheart, and we've been married for about 28 years now. She's actually from here in Panama City. Her dad was Judge Tom Eleanor. We have one daughter, Jessica. She just moved to Brooklyn, New York,
wow.
of all the places in the world, and which keeps Daddy up at night. Of course, I track her every move, but she's very happy up there.
You legally track her every move, right?
Her.
There you go.
She's very happy up there, and we got to visit with her at Christmas.
Yes, sir. Now, you still do work with FDLE. Kind of explain what you do there, and you know, truly, I mean, if you don't brag on yourself a little bit, I'm going to brag a little bit. You were appointed, first of all, by Governor Scott, and then reappointed by Governor DeSantis to which division of the agency again?
So it's called the Criminal Justice Standards and Training Commission, and it's a real honor to serve on that commission. I was appointed by Governor Scott, reappointed by Governor DeSantis. It's a 19-member commission that deals with the certification, training standards, and discipline of officers in the state of Florida. It's a real honor to serve. There's 3 sheriffs, 3 police chiefs, and various other law enforcement personnel that serve on that. I've been very blessed over the past 4 years to have been elected the chairman of the commission, so kind of manage those meetings. But it's something that I feel is a service to the law enforcement community and the citizens of the state of Florida in order to make sure we've got the best trained officers in the state, and that when they mess up, that we hold them accountable.
Yeah, policing the police, but also policing for the benefit of all people in the community throughout the state of Florida, though.
And that just as it relates to their certification. So the commission can put their certification, put them on probation, suspend their certification, and in a lot of cases we conduct a revocation where they can't be a police officer or a correctional officer again.
Oh goodness, I tell you. Folks, the phone lines are open. You've got Sheriff Tommy Ford here. He is a wealth of knowledge. 850-392-1544, or you can email us if you don't want to be on the air, lawcall@wmbb.com. We'll be taking your questions throughout the course of the program until we get another question that comes in. I want to ask you, though, a little bit about real-time operations. What is it that makes Bay County special with the real-time operations unit that you operate here?
So one of the things we're blessed in Bay County with is great relationships with our police departments. I've worked in other areas of the state where the sheriff won't talk with the chief and the chief won't talk with the sheriff. I am so blessed with the police chiefs that we have here and the working relationships that our agencies share, and it really benefits the citizens because there's no daylight in between us as far as when there's a crime occurring out there, we're working together. So we came together about a year and a half ago and created what's called the Bay Real-Time Operations Center, and it is a real-time crime center where we have analysts working. They're housed at the sheriff's office, but we have a Panama City analyst, we have a Panama City Beach analyst, and an FDLE analyst that work in there, and they're monitoring our calls for service as deputies are going to crimes. We're able to use technology resources such as cameras, the same cameras that are available to the public through the county's website. License plate readers that are placed strategically throughout the county, and those are, it's not something that says Larry Perry just passed by this license plate reader. It compares that tag to what we call a hot list, which is stolen vehicles, amber alerts, silver alerts, wanted persons, that if that vehicle is associated with one of those persons, the Real-Time Crime Center or Bayrock would receive an alert saying, somebody that's wanted just passed by this particular
some people
location.
may have privacy concerns that, law enforcement watching, every vehicle that comes in and out of the county, in and around the county, and to some extent that's true, but also to another extent there's got some checks and balances that go along with it. What are some of those balances that go along with it? Yeah,
so it's something, before we deployed that's something that obviously is of concern to me, so I wanted to make sure that we got that right. Some of the things that protect people's privacy, like with the license plate readers, is it just compares it to a hot list. There is a very short retention window on that. We've got very strong audit capabilities in place. So if somebody were to come to us and say,
Larry Perry's in there watching, his wife go around the county.
Right. We would be able to show what that person searched for. And so we're very cognizant of the privacy issues.
Okay. Now, also, we're talking about Bay County in particular, but Northwest Florida. There's a lot of growth going on here.
A lot of growth.
And so how is the law enforcement personnel, how is law enforcement agencies handling the growth in Northwest Florida?
I think using technology is a force multiplier for us, but we obviously are looking at growth in certain areas. This past budget with the county commission, we requested additional deputies for that West Bay corridor because of the growth that we've seen out there. And we've got a plan in place over the next 3 to 5 years to place additional deputies throughout the county as the need presents itself.
As far as Bay County is concerned, are we going to be looking at additional substations, maybe on the west end of the beach or maybe up Highway 79 or the West Bay corridor?
So I think there are some conversations. One is a north end substation is being built that's going to house a lot of county resources up there off Highway 20, the sports park off Highway 20. That's going to be a sheriff's office substation, but there's also some talks about some multi-use facilities that the county is going to build that will have your tax collector, your property appraiser, your county services, as well as the substation for the sheriff's office. But we are actively monitoring that growth and responding to that.
Folks, phone lines are open, 850-392-1544. You've got an elected official right here who's willing to take your calls tonight. Make sure that you take advantage of that. LawCall@wmbb.com. Either way, we're happy to take your calls. One more question before we go to a break, though. let's talk about the sheriff's resource officers,
Yes.
SROs.
Yes.
What do they do, and how do they act? And I say how do they act?
Right.
You know, who controls them, who works with them, and how is it related to the sheriff's department?
So the Bay County Sheriff's Office has school resource deputies in every high school and middle school. It's run out of our Community Services Division. Captain Myron Guilford was recently promoted to run that. And school safety is something that is just really passionate, that I'm passionate about. And the Parkland situation really shook me, and I wanted to make sure that we were prepared for that. So we've worked a lot with the school district, had a great relationship with Superintendent Husfeldt. Superintendent McQueen has been great to work with on safety and security issues. We're actually looking, I think it's going to the school board soon, about adding where we'll have 2 school resource deputies at the big high schools, which I think is something that's needed. We work very hard to prepare for the worst. You know, if we were to face an active shooter situation, we work with our police departments, fire department, EMS under a system called ASIM, or Active Shooter Incident Management, where the past 5 or 6 years we've really been all working together closely to make sure that we're prepared to manage an incident of that nature. We do a lot of tactical training where we actually put our deputies in simulations of an active shooter situation, where we're using simunition guns that fires a little paint round and gives them some very positive feedback if they're not using proper tactics. So something we're passionate about. Our school resource deputies are the key to school safety, and they do an amazing job because they're not just a protector, they're a mentor and a coach and a friend to a lot of these kids, especially kids that may be at risk for you know, getting into trouble.
Yep. Folks, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in just a few moments. Sheriff Tommy Ford is here, 850-392-1544. When we come back, we're going to talk about scams, and we're going to talk about community involvement. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Law Call. We're here to take your questions live. You got Sheriff Tommy Ford, 850-392-1544, or you can email us at lawcall@wmbb.com. We've got a couple of email questions that are coming up in the queue, but before we do that, let's talk about scams.
Yes.
Let's talk about, in particular, the subpoena scam.
Right.
All right, if you could, let's address that. First of all, what is it, and why do we know it's a scam?
So the jury duty scam is something that we face quite a bit, and it's very frustrating because it's, you know, we're most crimes we can identify who's committed that crime, go out, arrest them, hold them accountable. With these scams that you get on your telephone, a lot of time they are spoofing the number. They may even make it look like the call is coming from the Bay County Sheriff's Office. Our number may appear on your screen, but it's very difficult for us to track that. So what we try to do is inform the public about these scams. And one that just keeps recurring is this jury duty scam, where someone will receive a call. You may hear a familiar name. You may hear them talk about a certain captain at the sheriff's office and claim to be that captain, say that they've missed jury duty and that a warrant has been issued, but they can pay to in order to clear that warrant out. And that's just something that, one, we're not going to issue a warrant for jury duty, and two, that you won't be able to pay over a phone call to be able to clear out of a warrant. So just be very mindful of that scam. It's very prevalent, and there are people that have fallen victim to that and lost several $1,000s. So we try through our social media, through talking with the traditional media, to let people know about those type of scams so they won't become a victim.
And when in doubt, call the sheriff's office.
Absolutely.
I mean, the sheriff's office is a public number. Mm-hmm. You can say, hey, Captain, let me get your number, I'll call you right back. And then you look up the Bay County Sheriff's Office or any sheriff's office, right, and you call them and ask for that particular captain, and you'll see, right, pretty quick that that's a scam that's out there. What
you'll see on any of these type of scams, there's the IRS scam, and that should be coming up, once tax season starts, mm-hmm, they'll start doing that. But the common denominator of all of those is they'll ask you to go to Walgreens and get Green Dot cards, prepaid cards, and give them the number off the back of those cards, or they'll ask you to go to a Bitcoin ATM. We've had some of that recently. So we will never do something like that. So those are all clues that these are scams.
All right, well, very good. We have, let's see here, do we have the email question that's up? I think we do. Oh, we have Lewis. Okay. Yes. All right, let's see, real call, All right, let's go with Lewis. Or let's go with, Lewis. Let's go with Lewis first, and then we'll go with Ben. For some reason, we're having a little bit of a difficulty technically. So Lewis's question is, my cousin is in the county detention facility. Why did he get sent there and not the city jail, and what is the difference? That is Lewis. So I guess Lewis is here in Bay County. Okay. So let's explain the difference there.
Okay. So in Florida, there are no city jails. There's county jails that are run by the sheriffs, and the sheriff is the chief correctional officer of the county, as designated by the county commission. So the Bay County Sheriff's Office runs the Bay County jail. So anytime someone's arrested, even if it's by a city police department, they're booked into the Bay County jail. They can be held for pretrial detention there, or they may be booked into the jail, go to first appearance, and then get a bond and a release pending trial, pending further legal proceedings. And they could also be sentenced to the Bay County jail. If it's a misdemeanor and the sentence is less than a year, then they could actually serve their sentence at the Bay County jail. If it is a felony and they're sentenced to over a year, they would go from the Bay County jail after their pretrial service and after the case is resolved, and go to state prison. So in Florida, there are no city jails. It's run by the sheriff.
All right, very good. Got a telephone call from Ben. Ben, how can we help you this evening?
Yes, I've received several calls lately from a company supposed to the Spectrum about my account that I may have, and I don't have an account with Spectrum. I don't even know who they are. I was just wondering if that was a scam that the sheriff may have been informed about, or.
Well, Ben, sometimes bill collectors, and sometimes it can be a legitimate attempt to collect a bill, but they've got the wrong person. Right. I actually have a civil case going on right now where somebody is, we told the particular company, you've got the wrong person. In fact, they filed a lawsuit against that person, and we got it dismissed. Then they turned around and refiled the lawsuit again with a different law firm, mm-hmm, and now we're suing them under the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. Mm-hmm. So, Sheriff, about collection and, mm-hmm, hey, Venmo me, Green Dot me, right, let's take care of it over the phone, mm-hmm, check. If they're doing that or that kind of tactic, that raises some red flags, some
raises
concerns.
Red flags. And Ben, that's a good question. I am not familiar with any scams involving Spectrum, but I think it's wise that to proceed carefully with that. One thing that you can do is pull your credit report from Equifax or some of the other credit agencies and see if there's something on there from a Spectrum company that you may have an account that you think is called something else, but it may be there under Spectrum. But it could also be, it could be very well be a scam.
Yeah, but no, by no means, you're not giving out checking information, credit card information, green dot information, anything over the telephone. They can send it to you in writing, and then you can address it correctly that way. We have a gentleman from Lynn Haven who is calling. Let's go ahead and get that. Patrick from Lynn Haven, how can we help you tonight?
Yeah, Sheriff Ford, how you doing this evening?
Good, Patrick, how are you?
Yeah, you said you were connected to Judge Eleanor.
Yes, sir. My father-in-law.
Oh, we lost Patrick.
Well,
Doggone it. Well, yes, Judge Eleanor.
Eleanor was a county court judge here for 20-something years. And
Judge Eleanor was a fine gentleman. And I say fine, he's still alive. He's just moved away. He's no longer a judge. You know, he was a delight to be around.
He was. He and Miss Eleanor still doing well. They live in Tallahassee now.
Yep. Folks, we're going to take our second break tonight. Phone lines are still open, 850-392-1544 or LawCall at WMBB.com. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment. Folks, welcome back to Law Call. We've got a couple things to go over with Sheriff Ford. First of all, you've been sheriff now for 7 years.
Yes, sir.
And so we've got some crime statistics that we kind of want to go over a little bit here about, you know, this is from FDLE.
Right.
So this is the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. And why are we looking at 2021 and not 2022?
They haven't released the 2022 report yet, which we're waiting for that. Usually comes out in November, but it's a little late. But you know, this really proud of some of these statistics, and it shows the hard work that men and women at the Sheriff's Office and law enforcement in general do here in Bay County. So, but in 2021, we had a 17.4% decrease county-wide, but in the county jurisdiction, which is the unincorporated areas, but includes our contract cities of Callaway, Mexico Beach, we had a 22.6% reduction, while the state had a 9.5%. So something that you know, we're proud of, and just shows the good work of the men and women in law enforcement here in Bay County.
And I think we've got some more statistics to go over real quick. This closure rate is ridiculous to me, but go ahead. I'm going to let you talk about it, and then I'm going to come back. Okay.
Okay. So the clearance rate is, you know, something that we're proud of as well. The Sheriff's Office clearance rate is about 64.9% in that year, and the statewide average is 24.6%. And then when you look at the last 6 years, our crime rate has decreased by about 40%. percent.
Yeah. So this, as we come back up now, Bay County closed clearance rate 65% of all cases. So 2 out of 3 criminal cases, let's take these slides down just for a moment. 2 out of 3 criminal cases are cleared by the Bay County Sheriff's Office. I mean, that's astounding. I mean, you know, I'm licensed in 3 states, and you know, I don't know anybody that's got anything close to that.
A lot of hard work by our Criminal Investigations Division and our patrol deputies, and making sure they're being diligent about working their cases and you know, making sure that victims get justice.
Yeah. You know, sometimes people call me up, hey, can you put somebody in jail? And say, no, you got to call law enforcement. Right. You know, I'm here, you know, to collect money, hold people financially responsible for what happens. And sometimes our worlds overlap a little bit. But I got to tell you, you know, when we get a file and we do see the investigation from your office, you know, the statements are there, the body cam footage is there, the computer-aided dispatch is there, you know, the 911 calls are there, and everything that we get, you know, through our freedom of our public information request. I mean, it comes in and it's you know, it's very accurate. It's very tight, and it's very helpful to us on the civil side. I got to, you know, thank you. You know, I know that you don't work for us on the civil side at all, but when we get that, it is very helpful, and we appreciate that very much.
And our job in these cases, the criminal cases, and then some may eventually go to civil case. Our job is to get to the truth and document the facts, and then the legal system, whether that's the criminal system, the state attorney's office, or it's the civil system, you know, takes the cases from there. Our jobs are finders of fact.
Yep, and that's where we share that common thread, get to the truth.
Right.
Sheriff Ford, you know, you've seen the show. Right now we've got a couple of shout outs. We got 30 seconds. I'm going to go first, and then you can give your shout out.
Okay.
I got Carrie, Michelle, and Rosie who are watching, Barry, Chris Hart, KB. Miss Pam is watching tonight. Donna and Bruce are watching. The Buckleys, Harriet and King, and of course Jake. Thank y'all all for watching, and of course everybody else for watching the show. You got anybody you want to give a special shout out to tonight other than your wife? Or maybe go ahead and give your wife a shout out.
Well, my wife said she was going to bed, so I
but
don't
she'll
know
watch it on Facebook
She
Live.
actually told me to record it because she was going to bed. But I appreciate you having me on here, and it's an honor to serve as sheriff. There's really no better place to serve than Bay County, where people expect law and order and appreciate the work that law enforcement does. I look at some of my peers across the country and realize that they don't enjoy that same support in their area, and I just always, when I talk to groups here in Bay County, I make a point to just thank the citizens for their support of law enforcement, because it makes our job easier in keeping them safe.
Right. When citizens come forward, that helps. When citizens want it, that helps.
Absolutely.
And then when the political structure, the politicians, you know, we didn't get into a lot of things on the national level, but I know that you're involved in that as well. But you know, thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you for being here. It's an honor to have you as our sheriff, and an honor to have you here on LawCall tonight.
Thank you, Larry.
Folks, it's 2024. We're going to be back here same time, same place, same stations next week. So we'll see you next week. Thank you.